y'all for coming out this morning on this beautiful Memorial Day we have. I'd like to recognize our veterans. Do we have any veterans here? Do we have any World War II veterans? Any Korean War veterans? I know we got some Vietnam veterans out there. Yeah, I'm glad to have y'all. How about Cold War veterans? Don't want to forget us. And Persian Gulf, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan. All right, well, again, we appreciate y'all coming out to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. I'd ask you to please rise for the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms.
Prayer. All right. Good morning, everyone. If you would bow your heads, I'll say a prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for such a beautiful day. And Lord, I ask you to be with us today on this day of remembrance and give us the guidance we need. And Lord, I ask that you be with the families of the ones who have fallen and gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we could be free, because Memorial Day isn't just one day to them, it's every day. Lord, please have mercy on us. Please bring our country back together. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Our guest speaker today is Dr. David C. Bridges from AVAC. Have a seat, please. I don't do this very often. So. He's a native Georgian, the only president of AVAC to actually be an alumni of AVAC. And I think everybody knows him, so we'll let him speak. Thank you, sir.
Please be seated if you'd like. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today, and it is an honor and a privilege. Many of you do know me quite well, and you do know that I almost never speak from a prepared speech, and I'm probably not going to do that today, but I do have a few quotes, so from time to time I may reflect on my notes, but I do want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. And thank you as a community for coming together on Memorial Day. I do have the privilege of speaking to you in a cool environment, but I won't take advantage of that privilege and keep you here for a long sermon. But I do want to share with you a few thoughts as we visit together today on Memorial Day. And I'm going to focus on two words in my comments this morning. And they're two words that you may not always hear associated with Memorial Day, but I think they speak strongly to what we need to hear. And one of those you just heard in the prayer, and that is the word free. And the other word that I'm going to make a few comments about this morning is the word promise. And I think that is an imperative. We say these words often, the words free and the word promise, but I don't think we really think about them a great deal. So I wanted to sort of set the stage and talk a little bit about Memorial Day. And it focuses on the word memorial. And we hear a lot about it. We've been involved at the college now for several years in the Carry the Load effort, which has one goal, one mission, and that is to restore the true meaning of Memorial Day. But I think we often conflict Memorial Day with Veterans Day. Memorial Day is a day where we pay respect reverently and honestly to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Those who did not come home. Veterans Day, on the other hand, is a day where we pay respect to and thank all who have served. Now, the two do come together sometime, and they will come together for a moment here this morning. Because for those who did not come home, we really only have two ways to pay the proper respect to them. One is to do that symbolically through you, the veterans who were fortunate to come home, and honor you, and so therefore symbolically pay respect to those who did not come home. The other way we pay respect to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice is through a promise. And so those are the thoughts that I really wanted to share with you as we move through the morning. We only have the memory of those who died for our freedom. We have that memory every day. I once heard someone say, we should not think about them in death, but we should think about them in life. Because had they not lived and made the commitment, who knows where we would all be. So those are a few things that I wanted to share with you. But before I do, I want to give you a little background. I find that a lot of people don't know a lot about Memorial Day, I'll be honest. I didn't know a lot about it either until a few years ago when I started doing a little research. And my wife, Kim, who's with us here today, got us involved in at ABAC the Carry the Load effort. And we all talked about those things that have become trivial. You know, Memorial Day is a day for a mattress sale or to go to the lake or what have you. But many people don't realize, many people say, well, you know, Memorial Day started in the 60s. It did. The 1860s, not the 1960s. Unofficially, the first observance was in 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, to honor the dead Union soldiers. 3 years later, it became convicted as Decoration Day, and we decided to honor all who died in the Great American Civil War. It's rather interesting, I think, if you look at the statistics, and there's some variance. Nobody knows for sure how many people have died on the battlefield. How many died directly? How many died because of mortal or fatal wounds? How many died from other coincidences? But there is common agreement that the number is about, what? 1 million. Hand waving, plus or minus. Interestingly, regardless of whose account you look at, about 1 million people have died since the American Civil War. Roughly half of them died during the Civil War. The death rate per capita during the Civil War is just astronomical. Phenomenal. People can't believe how large it was. And think about the American Civil War. Regardless of what side you were on, the North, the South, it was about freedom. In all the wars that have come since then, another 500,000 hand-waving have died. And there's an interesting point there. Half the people who have died in this country since the 1860s in war died defending our freedom. Another half died doing what? Defending someone else's freedom. not just American freedom, but freedom around the world. So Memorial Day is unique to American culture, and I am concerned that, frankly, it's slipping away. I noticed as you call the roll, members of the Great Generation, the World War II generation, have about left us, folks. That was the Great Depression generation. A generation of people who understood twice what real sacrifice meant. If you made it through the Great Depression, you understood what sacrifice meant. And then no sooner had the Great Depression begin to close, or the worst of it began to expire, World War II came about. So, as you go about the rest of the day and the days to come, think about why we observe Memorial Day, and I'd encourage you to encourage others to have those same thoughts. So now I want to turn to the real essence of my talk, which I will admit to you has really one objective. And that's not for you to say that was a great Memorial Day speech. My objective is to hopefully have you go home today and think about, in sort of a short way, what do we need to do in this community so that instead of having a small, intimate crowd here at the Justice Center on Memorial Day, we could fill up a football stadium?
Amen.
Amen.
What do we need to do to make that happen? So I go back to my two words, free and promise. Now let's look at the word free. We use it every day, but doggone it, we don't use it for the right reason. Okay? Even in a setting in where you might think it might be wise, I'm not so sure it's wise. What do? The Golden Corral, what do? They advertise free food for veterans on Veterans Day, right? Free. We use the word free to mean something for nothing. Something for nothing. An entitlement. Something you owe me. But free really comes from the root, it's part of the word freedom, which means what? Freedom to move without constraint. The American country, the country we live in today, has its roots in freedom. Many of those who left England and other parts of Europe to come to America were looking for what? Freedom. Freedom from debt. If you came to Georgia, you know, we are the debtor's colony. Freedom from debt. I find it ironic as an agriculturalist that we settled Georgia as a debtor's colony, and agriculture is the largest enterprise. My mother often said that she was raised to not drink and not associate with those who gambled, and she disappointed her parents because she married a farmer. Not because he drank, but because he gambled every year. But anyway, back to the story. Many who came to settle America and seek freedom didn't make it. They died in transit. They may have made it here, but they didn't survive the first winter. So when we fought the Revolutionary War, what were we doing? We were fighting for freedom for many who had already gone before us. But those revolutionists were also fighting for us today. And that's the nature of observing Memorial Day. We pay respect and honor to those who died before us so that we may have freedom and go forward. An interesting memorial sort of use of the word. How many of you have ever been on the campus of Texas A&M University? No, my wife has. Spent years there. Deeply entrenched in military tradition, the Corps of Cadets. Everything at Texas A&M is about tradition. Everything. Everything. Interesting institution. Didn't have a female student until 1972. Didn't have a female in the band until 1984. Okay? Still are led into the football stadium for a football game by Parsons Mounted Cavalry. And all the cadets march in, 5,000 strong, and stand throughout the football game. Interesting traditions all over campus. But right in the middle of campus, right next to the drill field, there's this one place called Memorial student center. All colleges have student centers, right? But not like this one. This one is a memorial, is a sacred place. If you don't believe it, step on the grass. If you're a visitor, you will be greeted courteously but firmly and asked to take your feet off the grass. If you're a student, God have mercy on you. You enter the building with a hat on. If you're a guest, you will be courteously asked to remove it. If you're a fellow Aggie student, you will be embarrassed. It is a memorial. It is a place where we pay respect to those who've gone before us. So back to the Freedom Mission.